You may have spent years protecting your aquarium from ammonia with bottled conditioners, emergency water changes, expensive filter cartridges, and products that promise to make toxic waste disappear. But there is a cheap mineral that can pull ammonium directly from fresh water, can be regenerated and reused, and has been used for water treatment in one form or another for centuries. It is not a new invention, it is not a complicated chemical formula, and it is not limited to the aquarium aisle. In fact, you may have already encountered it in water filters, garden products, odor control materials, or soil conditioners, without realizing what it could do inside a fish tank. That mineral is zeolite, specifically a natural form called clinoptilolite. Used correctly, it can become one of the most useful emergency tools a freshwater fish keeper owns. Used incorrectly, however, it can create false confidence, interfere with tank cycling, or do almost nothing at all. The difference depends on understanding what zeolite actually removes, where it must be placed, how much is required, and when it should be taken out. Ammonia is produced every hour that animals live inside an aquarium. Fish release nitrogenous waste through their gills and in their excrement. Uneaten food begins to decay. Dead leaves soften and break apart. Hidden waste trapped under wood, rocks, decorations, or substrate is slowly decomposed by microorganisms. Even in water that looks perfectly clear, ammonia may be entering the system continuously. In a mature aquarium, this normally does not become a crisis because beneficial microorganisms colonize the filter substrate, glass plants, and other wet
converting
surfaces.
harmful ammonia into
These
nitrite.
organisms convert ammonia
The
into
biofilm
nitrite,
now
and then
exhibits a
convert
faint amber
nitrite
sheen
into
as nitrite is further oxidized.
That biological process is the foundation of a stable aquarium, but it is not indestructible. A new tank may not yet contain enough nitrifying bacteria. A filter that has been left without oxygen for too long can lose part of its colony. Chlorinated tap water can damage bacteria if filter media is rinsed carelessly. Certain medications may reduce biological activity. A power outage can stop water circulation. A dead fish hidden behind a decoration can create more waste than the filter can process. Heavy overfeeding, sudden overcrowding, or the addition of several large fish at once can push the system beyond its normal capacity. When that happens, the aquarium can move from apparently normal to dangerous, much faster than many owners expect. The word ammonia is also used loosely in aquarium discussions, which creates confusion. In water, nitrogenous waste exists in an equilibrium between unionized ammonia, written as NH3, and the ammonium ion, written as NH4+. The balance between these two forms depends strongly on pH and temperature. Unionized ammonia is generally the more immediately toxic form because it crosses biological membranes more easily. As pH and temperature rise, a larger proportion of the total ammonia may exist as NH3. This is why the same total ammonia reading can represent different levels of danger in different tanks.
The left region is mildly acidic.
A cool,
the right is
mildly acidic
alkaline at higher
aquarium
temperature.
and a warm alkaline aquarium may show the same test result, but the fish in the warmer, higher pH tank can face a much greater toxic risk. This detail matters because zeolite primarily exchanges ions with ammonium NH4+, rather than magically neutralizing every form of ammonia under every condition. As ammonium is removed, the chemical equilibrium can shift, allowing more ammonia to convert into ammonium, which can then also be captured. The effect can be extremely valuable, but it should be understood as a real chemical process, not as an unlimited cure. Clinoptilolite is a natural aluminosilicate mineral, commonly formed when volcanic material is altered over long periods in the presence of water. Under magnification, its internal structure resembles an enormous network of microscopic channels and cavities. These spaces are not empty in the ordinary sense. The mineral framework contains a negative electrical charge balanced by positively charged ions, such as sodium, potassium, calcium, and magnesium. Many of those ions are held loosely enough to be exchanged. When water containing ammonium moves through the zeolite, positively charged ammonium ions are attracted to the negatively charged structure. They move into the internal channels and replace some of the ions already present. This is called ion exchange. Activated carbon is often described as a material that traps contaminants on a large internal surface. Zeolite behaves differently. Its ability to manage ammonium comes mainly from the exchange of charged ions within its mineral framework. That difference is the reason activated carbon and zeolite should not be treated as interchangeable products. Carbon is widely used to remove dissolved organic compounds, odors, discoloration, and residues from some medications. Natural clinoptilolite is selected primarily for its ability to capture ammonium in fresh water. A filter compartment filled with carbon may polish the water
close-up
beautifully
highlights the polishing
while doing
effect,
very little
yet
to
the
solve
subtle
an
dimming
active
shows
ammonia
the carbon's
spike.
limited ability.
A correctly placed bag of zeolite can address ammonium directly, but it may not remove the yellow tint odors or organic molecules that carbon would capture. Each material has a different job. Zeolite is also not a single, perfectly uniform substance. The word describes a large family of minerals and manufactured materials with different pore
As we
sizes,
pan across the chambers,
chemical
notice how the
compositions,
varying
and
compositions
exchange
of
properties.
zeolite affect the water's
That
exchange
means a
properties
random
and
product
overall
labeled
suitability
only
for
as
the aquarium.
zeolite is not automatically suitable for aquarium use.
This natural
The
zeolite
form most
is
commonly
the most
discussed
common
for
choice
freshwater
controlling
ammonia control
freshwater ammonia.
is natural clinoptilolite. Aquarium-branded zeolite usually identifies the intended use clearly, but cheaper agricultural or horticultural products may also be natural clinoptilolite. Before using a non-aquarium product, the label should be checked carefully. It should not contain fertilizer, pesticides, fragrances, clumping agents, detergents, salt, unknown additives, or chemical treatments. Products designed for cat litter, industrial cleanup, construction, or odor absorption should not be assumed safe merely because zeolite appears somewhere on the package. Dusty, contaminated, or chemically modified materials can create problems that have nothing to do with the zeolite itself. When the purity and composition cannot be confirmed, paying more for a reputable aquarium product is safer than gambling with the livestock. The most important advantage of zeolite appears during emergencies. Imagine a recently established freshwater aquarium with measurable ammonia and fish already inside. The ideal response is not to choose one solution and ignore everything else. The first priority is to reduce immediate exposure. That may require a partial water change using properly conditioned temperature-matched water. Feeding should be reduced or temporarily stopped. Dead organisms, rotting food, and trapped waste should be removed. Aeration should be increased because fish with damaged or irritated gills often struggle more when oxygen is limited. The cause of the spike must be investigated. Zeolite can then be added to the filtration path as an additional layer of protection. It begins working without waiting for a bacterial colony to reproduce. Water carrying ammonium passes through the media, and exchange sites inside the mineral begin filling. This is fundamentally different from adding more biological media and hoping that bacteria colonize it immediately. New biological media may become valuable later, but it does not become fully mature the moment it enters the filter. Zeolite can provide temporary control while the biological system catches up. Placement determines whether the mineral performs efficiently or merely occupies space. Pouring loose zeolite onto the substrate may expose it to water, but water will usually take the easiest path around the granules. Some pieces may become buried under debris. Fine particles may spread through the tank, and removing the media later becomes difficult. A better method is to rinse the zeolite thoroughly, place it in a fine mesh media bag, and position the bag where water is forced through it. In a canister filter, this may be one of the media baskets. In a hang-on back filter, it can be placed where incoming or outgoing water passes through the bag rather than flowing around it. In an internal filter or sump, it should be positioned in a high-flow chamber. For a tank without a suitable filter compartment, the bag can be suspended close to the filter outlet or intake, provided it cannot be sucked into moving parts. The goal is not simply to submerge the zeolite. The goal is to bring a large volume of contaminated water into repeated contact with its exchange sites. Mechanical filtration should usually come before the zeolite when possible. A sponge floss pad or other mechanical stage can catch uneaten food and suspended debris before they clog the spaces around the mineral. Clean water then reaches the zeolite more evenly. The media should be rinsed before first use, because natural mineral products can contain substantial dust. Rinsing does not mean washing it with soap or disinfectant. It means placing the material in a clean container or mesh bag and flushing it repeatedly with fresh water until the runoff becomes reasonably clear. Some cloudiness may still appear at first, but a thick gray plume inside the aquarium is a sign that the material was not rinsed enough. Determining the correct amount is more complicated than many product labels suggest. Zeolite capacity varies with mineral purity, grain size, water chemistry, contact time, flow rate, temperature, competing ions, and the starting ammonium concentration. Laboratory capacity figures should not be treated as a guarantee that every gram will perform identically inside a home aquarium. Real tanks contain calcium, magnesium, potassium, sodium, dissolved organics, debris, and constantly produced waste. The safest approach is to follow the dosage supplied by a reputable manufacturer. Use enough media for the system volume and continue testing the water. Zeolite should never be added and then trusted blindly. During an ammonia event, total ammonia should be checked regularly with a reliable test. Nitrite should also be monitored because the underlying biological filter may still be unstable. Fish behavior provides additional warning signs: rapid breathing, clamped fins, lethargy, loss of appetite, hovering near the surface, inflamed gills, or sudden attempts to escape the water can indicate serious stress. But waiting for visible symptoms is dangerous. By the time every fish is gasping, exposure may already have been severe. Another mistake is assuming that a small decorative pouch of zeolite can absorb any amount of waste. Every exchange material has a finite capacity. Once its accessible sites are filled, ammonia removal slows dramatically. The media does not announce that it is exhausted. It does not necessarily change color, produce an odor, or dissolve. It can look exactly the same while contributing very little. This is why testing and replacement schedules matter. In a lightly stocked aquarium, used as a temporary safeguard, the media may last much longer than it would in a tank experiencing a severe ammonia spike. In a transport container, hospital aquarium, or heavily stocked system, saturation may occur much faster. The amount of ammonia entering the water is more important than the calendar alone. Zeolite can sometimes be regenerated rather than discarded. Regeneration uses a strong sodium chloride solution to reverse part of the ion exchange. A common practical method is to soak exhausted natural clinoptilolite in a concentrated solution made with non-iodized salt. A high sodium concentration encourages sodium ions to enter the zeolite and displace the ammonium that had been captured. The ammonium moves into the salt solution, which must then be discarded safely. After soaking, the media must be rinsed extremely thoroughly with fresh water before it returns to a freshwater aquarium. Residual salt can harm salt-sensitive plants, fish, shrimp, or other organisms. The regeneration container should never be poured into the aquarium pond garden area containing sensitive plants or any natural waterway. It contains concentrated salt and the nitrogenous waste that was removed from the tank. Regeneration may restore useful capacity, but it should not be assumed to return every batch to factory new performance forever. Mineral quality can vary, pores can become fouled, and capacity may decline over repeated cycles. For many hobbyists, replacement is simpler. For others, especially those using larger amounts, careful regeneration can make zeolite extremely economical. Labeling the media bag and recording when it entered service can prevent accidental reuse of an exhausted batch. Zeolite also has a major limitation in saltwater. Seawater contains a very high concentration of sodium and other competing ions. Those ions occupy or compete for the same exchange sites that would otherwise capture ammonium. Natural clinoptilolite, therefore, behaves very differently in marine water than it does in freshwater. Products and methods marketed as zeolite systems for reef aquariums may be designed around different goals: specialized materials bacterial management or controlled nutrient reduction. They should not be confused with simply placing freshwater ammonia-removing clinoptilolite into a marine filter. Anyone managing ammonia in a saltwater aquarium should rely on methods appropriate to marine chemistry, including established biological filtration, source control water changes, aeration, and products specifically validated for saltwater use. Freshwater is where natural clinoptilolite's ammonium exchangeability is most useful and predictable. The greatest controversy surrounding zeolite
This reef tank focuses
is not
on a
whether it
dense
can capture
biofilm coating
ammonia.
on live rock
It
that
is
appears subtly
whether using
thinner
it
in
all the
regions
time
adjacent
can
to buried
slow the
zeolite
development
clumps.
of biological filtration. Nitrifying
Zeolite
organisms
media,
need a
absorbing the
supply of
few visible
ammonia or
leaving the
ammonium
water.
as an energy source. If a large amount of fresh zeolite removes most of that supply from a new aquarium, the bacterial colony may develop more slowly. The water can appear safe while the mineral remains active, but once the zeolite is removed or becomes exhausted, the tank may not have enough biological capacity to process the full waste load. This creates a hidden dependency. The owner believes the aquarium has completed its cycle when the zeolite has actually been carrying much of the burden. For that reason, permanent use in a new tank should be approached carefully. During a fishless cycle, zeolite is usually unnecessary and can work against the objective of feeding and establishing nitrifying organisms. During a fish-in cycle, animal safety takes priority, so zeolite may be valuable, but it should be used alongside testing controlled feeding, water changes, aeration, and a deliberate plan to build biological filtration. As the filter matures, the zeolite can be reduced or removed gradually, while ammonia and nitrite are monitored. If either begins rising, the tank is not ready to operate without additional support. In an established aquarium, short-term zeolite use does not usually erase the biological colony. The bacteria remain attached to wet surfaces. However, leaving the mineral in place continuously can reduce the amount of nitrogen available to those organisms and may cause the active population to adjust downward. Again, that is not always a disaster, but it means the aquarium may become less prepared for a sudden increase in waste after the media is removed. The best use of zeolite is therefore strategic rather than automatic. It is excellent to keep on hand for emergencies. It can support a hospital tank that lacks mature filtration. It can reduce ammonium accumulation during freshwater fish transport. It can provide temporary protection after a filter failure, power outage, medication course, unexpected death, or major disturbance to the substrate. It may help in an overstocked system while the owner corrects the stocking problem or upgrades filtration. It can also serve as a safety buffer in certain temporary holding containers. What it should not do is excuse chronic overfeeding, inadequate maintenance, poor circulation, decomposing waste, or an aquarium that is permanently stocked beyond its biological capacity. Removing ammonia without correcting its source is like mopping the floor while a pipe continues leaking behind the wall. The floor may look better, but the system remains broken. Live plants also deserve attention in this discussion. Aquatic plants can use ammonium as a nitrogen source, and many fast-growing plants can contribute meaningfully to nutrient control. If zeolite is used continuously in a heavily planted aquarium with very low available nitrogen, it may compete with plants for ammonium. This does not mean a short emergency treatment will instantly starve the plants. It means the mineral should be used for a reason rather than added permanently because more filtration sounds better. In a stable planted aquarium with no detectable ammonia, adding zeolite may provide little benefit. In some situations, the same money would be better spent on improved circulation, additional mechanical filtration, more healthy plant mass, a reliable liquid test kit, or a backup air pump. Zeolite is powerful when it solves the correct problem.
That the
It is
aeration
unnecessary
device
when
adds
that
no
problem
value
does not
without
exist.
a problem to solve.
Compatibility with aquarium medications should also be considered. Activated carbon is often removed during treatment because it can absorb certain medications. Zeolite does not behave exactly like carbon, but aquarium treatments vary widely, and some manufacturers may recommend removing chemical media during dosing. The safest approach is to read the medication instructions and the zeolite manufacturer's guidance. Do not assume that every mineral is chemically invisible simply because it is natural.
Magically unseen.
Water conditioners create another point of confusion. Some products temporarily bind or detoxify ammonia, and hobby-grade test kits may still register total ammonia after those products are used. That can make it difficult to determine how much dangerous free ammonia remains. Zeolite may still capture ammonium under suitable freshwater conditions, but the interaction depends on the chemistry of the conditioner and the testing method. During a serious incident, follow the conditioner's labeled dosage, maintain aeration, perform necessary water changes, and evaluate results with a test method appropriate for that product. Adding multiple treatments at random can make the readings harder to interpret, rather than making the aquarium safer. There is also a difference between using zeolite as loose, granular media and buying cartridges that contain a mixture of carbon zeolite resins and other materials. Combination cartridges can be convenient, but they often make it impossible to know how much of each ingredient is present or which component has become exhausted. They may also encourage owners to throw away the entire cartridge on a fixed schedule, including the plastic frame and materials that may still have useful capacity. A refillable mesh bag filled with a known quantity of natural clinoptilolite offers more control. It can be rinsed, inspected, replaced, or regenerated independently. However, convenience has value, and a well-designed commercial cartridge may be the safer option for someone who cannot verify the composition of bulk mineral products. The objective is not to avoid every aquarium-branded product. It is to understand what you are buying. Zeolite itself is not rare, but quality control, purity, processing, grading, packaging, and reliable instructions are legitimate parts of the price. The cheapest bag is not automatically the best value if it introduces unknown contaminants or crumbles into powder. The history of zeolitic minerals makes the material even more fascinating. Long before chemists could describe ion exchange, people observed that certain volcanic stones affected water construction materials, odors, and soil. Archaeological research has suggested that filtration systems at the ancient Maya city of Tikal incorporated minerals including zeolite, brought from deposits located away from the city. The people who built those systems did not know the modern molecular terminology, but they understood something practical. Water passing through particular materials became cleaner and more usable. Zeolitic volcanic materials were also incorporated into ancient construction in parts of the Mediterranean world, where their reactions contributed to durable mortars and concrete. These historical uses were not identical to placing aquarium media inside a filter, but they demonstrate how long humans have benefited from the unusual properties of volcanic minerals. Modern science can now explain what earlier societies learned through observation. The internal structure of clinoptilolite gives it selective ion exchange behavior. That same property is used in agriculture, odor management, wastewater treatment, aquaculture, and other applications. Inside a freshwater aquarium, the chemistry becomes a practical advantage. Ammonium can be captured before it continues accumulating in the water. But the ancient history should not distract from the modern responsibility of using the material correctly. A natural mineral can still be misapplied. A reusable product can still become exhausted. A substance that is effective in freshwater can fail in saltwater. A tool that protects fish during an emergency can interfere with cycling when used without a plan. So what should a responsible freshwater aquarist actually do? Keep a sealed bag of reputable natural clinoptilolite available before an emergency occurs. Keep a fine mesh media bag with it. When ammonia appears, confirm the reading, evaluate pH and temperature, inspect the tank for the source, and immediately protect the fish with appropriate water changes, conditioning, aeration, and reduced feeding. Rinse the zeolite until the dust is removed. Place the correct quantity in the strongest practical filter flow after mechanical filtration. Continue testing rather than assuming the problem has disappeared. Watch nitrite as well as ammonia. Replace or regenerate the media when its performance declines. At the same time, rebuild the permanent solution a healthy biological filter matched to the amount of waste the aquarium produces. Once the system is stable, remove zeolite deliberately rather than forgetting it inside the filter for months. Then test again to confirm that the bacteria plant's maintenance routine and filter can control waste without chemical support. That final step is what separates emergency management from dependency. Zeolite is not a miracle rock, and it does not make the nitrogen cycle optional. It will not repair a dead filter motor, remove a decomposing fish, compensate for severe overcrowding, or protect marine livestock as effectively as it protects freshwater fish. What it can do is buy time. During an ammonia emergency, time may be the difference between fish recovering and fish suffering irreversible gill damage. A low-cost bag of the correct mineral can reduce ammonium while the aquarist finds the source, changes the water, restores circulation, and rebuilds biological filtration. That is far more valuable than another product bought without understanding its mechanism. The real secret is not that the aquarium industry has hidden a magical substance from you. The real secret is that many aquarium problems become easier and less expensive when you stop shopping by the claims on the front of the package and start asking what the material inside actually does. Clinoptilolite works because of ion exchange. It has a limited capacity. It requires moving fresh water. It performs best when contained in a media bag with strong flow. It can sometimes be regenerated with salt. It is most useful as temporary protection, not as a replacement for cycling. Once you understand those rules, zeolite stops being a mysterious bag of rocks and becomes a precise tool that you can use with confidence. Keep it ready, use it only when the situation calls for it, and never allow temporary chemical support to replace the biological stability your fish depend on. If this explanation changed the way you think about ammonia control, share it with another freshwater fish keeper, and subscribe for more evidence-based aquarium solutions that separate what genuinely works from what is simply sold well.